This story sets in an alternate timeline during the Belle Epoque era. Picture this: the late 19th century, where vampires and Oni casually mingle with humans in the same world. Enter Tsugaru Shinuchi, an experimental half-Oni famously dubbed the Oni Slayer. His mission is to navigate the supernatural landscape and snag a git from the immortal Aya Rindo, a lady with the peculiar desire to find death, albeit with her loyal Nagan sidekick, Shizuku Pacey. Tsugaru's after the secret to prolonging his existence, while Aya's just a floating head yearning for the end. Intriguing, right? Let's dive into this whimsical escapade. In the bustling era of 1897, where Japan's caught up in the whirlwind of modernization, Tsugaru Shinuchi, aka the Omi Slayer, earns his keep by engaging in quirky cage fights, battling Omi, Ayakashi, and other monsters, all under the big top of a circus. It's like a wild blend of traditional meets modern, with a side of spectacle. Tsugaru, the monster-slaying sensation, is minding his own business when out of nowhere, a woman in a French-made outfit ambushes him. Talk about unexpected occupational hazards. But here's the kicker: the skirmish gets crashed by none other than a woman's voice, emanating from a birdcage the maid's lugging around. Surprise, surprise. Turns out it's Aya Rindo, an immortal with a twist. She's just a floating head. Oh, and let's not forget her trusty maid bodyguard, Shizuku Hasi, ensuring the head stays in check. With a quirky proposition on the table, Aya Rindo, the immortal head honcho, lays down the cards for Tsugaru Shinuchi. She's lost her body, and in a plot twist, she offers him a golden ticket, a chance to extend his limited half-Oni lifespan. Talk about a supernatural win-win situation. As they embark on their quest to reclaim wayward body parts, they stumble upon a common thread in their weird predicaments: a mysterious foreigner with an N engraved on his cane. It's like a demon-infused game of connect the dots, and they've got their sights set on the elusive N culprit. Now here's where it gets even juicier. Tsugaru spills the beans about his original plan, embracing his inner Oni and turning the circus into a chaotic playground for revenge. But wait, Aya, with her floating wisdom, manages to throw a curveball into his monstrous aspirations. She becomes the reason he hits the pause button on his impending Oni meltdown. And in a plot twist hotter than a flaming circus hoop, Tsugaru seals the deal with a makeshift contract, a smooch. A kiss to delay the demise and spice up the supernatural shenanigans. In the spectacular year of 1898, a swanky vampire pad in Le Giver becomes the scene of a family drama. Not your usual blood-sucking affair, mind you. Lord Godard, the vamp patriarch, waltzes home to discover his dear wife Hannah in a not-so-living state. Cue the dramatic gasps and brooding vampire melodrama. Now here's where it gets interesting. Godard, not thrilled with the police's supernatural detective skills, decides to dial up a different hotline. Enter stage left, the cage user. Picture this detective extraordinaire as the supernatural Sherlock of Europe, with a flair for solving cases that go bump in the night. But wait, plot twist alert. It's none other than Tsugaru, the apprentice detective, bringing a touch of his Omi-slaying expertise to the party. Oh, and don't forget, he's got Aya's disembodied head as his Sherlock sidekick. As they delve into the vamp whodunit, Aya throws out some Sherlock-level questions. How did the murderer snag a silver stake, bust into the storeroom, pinpoint Hannah's exact location, and offer it without breaking a sweat, yet leave a holy water bottle as a calling card? It's like a supernatural game of Clue, and the stakes are higher than a vampire's afternoon nap. Just when the detective trio scratching their heads, hewing up the eerie background music, a mysterious hunter strolls in from the woods. Aya, at the dinner table, grilling Lord Godard, his vampy family, and their loyal servants about their activities leading up to the murder. It's like a supernatural dinner party with a side of interrogations. Aya, the detective headmistress, narrows down the suspect list to Alfred the butler and the brooding older son, Claude. But here's the twist: a couple of contradictory facts are throwing a wrench in her detective years. It's like trying to solve a supernatural Sudoku puzzle with missing numbers. Fast forward to Lord Godard taking a moonlit stroll in the woods, and bam! He gets ambushed by a hunter named Joseph. Now Godard, being the vamp powerhouse he is, easily overpowers the poor hunter. But wait, Tsugaru and Aya swoop in like supernatural referees, preventing Godard from turning Joseph into a vampire pancake. Instead, they opt for a good old-fashioned interrogation. And here's where it gets juicy. Joseph spills the beans about another hunter named Hugo, who pulled a disappearing act 3 days prior, armed with a silver stake and a vendetta against a vamp. Turns out, he had an inside buddy helping him with the murderous mission. It's like a vamp conspiracy with extra garlic. After Tsugaru lets Joseph off the hook, Aya's confidence level skyrockets. She beckons Godard to gather everyone inside the mansion. Why? Because the head detective's got the vampy scoop and is ready to unmask the blood-sucking culprit. With the vampy drama hitting its peak, Aya unveils her grand reveal. Drum roll, please. She deduces that the real blood-sucking miscreant is none other than the younger son, Raoul. Cue gasps and vampire-sized shock. Now Raoul, not thrilled with being called out, decides to go all fang and fury on Aya. But hold on. Tsugaru, the Oni powerhouse, channels his inner bouncer and tosses Raoul outside faster than you can say bitten by a bat. It's like a supernatural bar brawl, but classier. As Aya spills the vampy tea to Lord Godard, it turns out Raoul and his buddy Hugo cooked up a plan to slay a vampire with a silver stake. Classic vamp revenge plot, right? But here's the twist. When Godard put a stop to Hugo's vampire vendetta, Raoul pulled a fast one. He swapped the silver stake for a holy water-filled imposter, let it chill in the frosty night air, and used it to turn Hannah into a vamp popsicle. And just when Raoul thinks he's got the upper hand, Tsugaru serves up some Oni justice, making sure the vampy son meets his doom outside, just as the son decides to join the party. Talk about timing. As the vampy dust settles, Aya, the floating detective head, pops the ultimate question to Godard, the man with an M on his cane. Turns out, a so-called professor tried to lure Godard to London a few days back, but Godard, being the discerning vamp patriarch, declined the shady invitation. In the twilight of 1899, prepare for a tale where elegance meets intrigue. Arsène Lupin, the master of thievery, recruits none other than Eric, the Phantom of the Opera, for a diamond heist dubbed the Penultimate Night. Phil's mansion in London is the glittering stage for this grand heist. Meanwhile, across the pond, Tsugaru and Aya, our dynamic duo, are on a quest to unravel the mystery of the elusive professor. Their search takes them to a London cane shop, but alas, trouble brews when they're accosted by two shady characters. Lo and behold, London's finest, Sherlock Holmes and his trusty sidekick Watson, step in to save the day, or at least try to. As fate intertwines, it turns out Holmes and Watson are on the Lupin case, hired by none other than Fogg, the master of the journey around the world. The cage user, our supernatural detective, is also on the Lupin beat. Talk about a detective showdown. Transported straight to Fogg's mansion, our detectives find themselves surrounded by layers of security measures. Inspector Lestrade and the Royce group are there too, making it a regular who's who of the detective world. Fogg proudly displays the Penultimate Night diamond, safely locked in a silver puzzle safe made by German dwarves, because, you know, dwarves are the real MVPs of security craftsmanship. As the detectives scratch their heads trying to outsmart Lupin, Aya drops a bomb. An improbable, but not impossible method involving the enigmatic Ishikawa Goemon. In the heart of Baker Street chaos, Mycroft Holmes, the sibling extraordinaire, waltzes into the flat to pay a visit to Sherlock and Watson. But hold on, it's not your usual family reunion. Mycroft, the deduction maestro, sniffs out the Lupin in the room, literally. Turns out, Holmes was just Lupin in a detective disguise, playing hide and seek with the real deal. Classic Lupin move, right? In a swift escape that would make Houdini proud, Lupin dives out the window, promising to swipe Fogg's treasure. It's like a grand exit from the world's quirkiest masquerade ball. Meanwhile, in the realm of supernatural mix-ups, Tsugaru stumbles upon a cage switcheroo. Aya's head is accidentally swapped with a parrot, because nothing says mix-up like a headless bird companion. It's like a twisted pet swap sitcom. As the Lupin escapade unfolds, Shizuku, nearly roadkill in the making, encounters Eric behind the wheel of Lupin's getaway car. Lupin, ever the charming thief, offers to help her find Aya. It's like a gentlemanly offer from a guy with a penchant for grand theft and mysterious helpers. Amidst the chaos, Mycroft, the elder Holmes, gives Sherlock a heads up about the Royce agents. Apparently, they're cooking up a diamond theft scheme of their own, leaving Lupin as the fall guy. Talk about a detective conspiracy buffet. In a vehicular mishap, Aya gets a taste of hit and run courtesy of the twin thieves. Fear not though, Lupin swoops in, revealing his true identity to the cage user crew. Suguru, not one to back down, attacks Lupin, but the wily thief manages to outsmart him, knocking him out cold and dishing out some sage advice to Aya. Stay out of the detective tango. Now here's where it gets wet and wild. Lupin, the man of action, kicks off his grand plan, while Aya sends Sherlock a cryptic note about her above-ground spectator plans. Inside the secure chamber, Sherlock pulls a trigger-happy stunt, jamming locks like a locksmith on steroids. But when the appointed time arrives, cue the explosion in the moat, water flooding the chamber, and the whole situation taking a dive, literally. As chaos ensues in the flooded chamber aftermath, enter Royce's agent extraordinaire, Fatima Doubledarts, rescuing the Savi detective crew. But hold on, the silver safe and the coveted diamond are MIA. Sherlock, with his detective spidey sense, swiftly deduces that Lupin, in his crafty disguise as Inspector Ganimard, played a sneaky part in the heist with a little help from our opera-loving friend Eric. In a blink and you miss it moment, Lupin grabs the diamond and pulls off a Houdini, escaping with Eric amid the confusion. The chase leads them to a greenhouse, only to find a twist worthy of a detective novella. Aya, the floating detective head, was chilling inside the safe the entire time. Cue the dramatic reveal, and she calls for Suguru, the Omi-slaying backup. Shizuku and Suguru, ready for a supernatural showdown, brace themselves for Lupin and Eric's arrival. But wait, here comes Royce's agent Reynolds Stinghart, snatching the diamond like it's the last cookie in the jar. Talk about a diamond heist relay race. Suddenly, the plot thickens. The access bridge goes boom, and the professor, with his entourage of chaos, storms the mansion grounds, leaving a trail of guard mayhem in their diamond quest. It's like a battlefield straight out of a detective action movie. Now picture this: Lupin, Eric, Holmes, Watson, the cage user crew, the Royce's agents, the Professor squad, and a police detachment. It's a detective rumble for the ages, with everyone and their grandmother vying for the sparkly prize. Swords clash, Omi powers flare, and deductive reasoning turns into a full-blown battle royale. In the midst of the chapel mayhem, the battles unfold like a supernatural symphony. Camilla puts Shizuku in a temporary timeout, Eric leaves Fatima scratching her head, and Lupin teams up with Suguru against the formidable Reynolds. It's like a chaotic dance of swords, Oni powers, and thief finesse. As Holmes strategizes a way to counter Leicester's poison darts, the fights hit a sudden pause. Enter Jack the Ripper, the unexpected party crasher, brutally taking out both Fatima and Reynolds before snagging the diamond. Lupin and Eric, no fans of Jack's murderous flair, wisely choose to flee the scene, leaving the Ripper to his slicing business. But wait, the plot thickens. The big reveal unfolds as the enigmatic professor steps into the spotlight, dropping the bombshell that he's none other than James Moriarty himself. Cue dramatic gasps. Moriarty spills the immortal beans, admitting he has Aya's body and conducted some wild experiments, injecting the mortal and only blood into subjects. Jack, the Ripper himself, survived the supernatural cocktail, turning into a nearly indestructible force of nature. Now Moriarty's cooking up a werewolf-infused sequel for Jack's power-up. Jack, in a diamond-grabbing move, recognizes Suguru as a survivor of Moriarty's Oni experiment while giving him a good Oni thrashing. Moriarty's grand plan seems to be coming together, signaled by the mysterious banquet organization. They declare mission accomplished and make their exit. Suguru, sneaky as ever, reveals he swiped the diamond from Jack's pocket, and Aya uses it to crack the code for the location of German werewolves. 8 years prior, in the misty southwestern German mountains, a werewolf faced the wrath of fearful villagers. In a heartbreaking twist, she sacrificed herself to shield her daughter from the angry mob. Fast forward to the present. Suguru, Aya, and Shizuku traverse the area, sniffing around for werewolf clues. Near the village of Hullendorf, they cross paths with the local doctor, Hyman, who's heard whispers of the cage user's legendary exploits. Hyman spills the supernatural beans, revealing a grim pattern of abductions plaguing the village. Girls vanish on rainy nights every 4 months, only to be found torn to pieces later. Cue the ominous music. The trio faces the frosty reception of hostile villagers, but Ada, with her silver tongue, convinces Gustav, a concerned father, that she can crack the case within 2 days. Aya unravels the grim scene, deducing that a werewolf descended the chimney, wreaked havoc in a wolfish rage, and snatched Louise through a broken window. The village is left in suspense, with Aya vowing to unmask the killer. Determined to dive deeper, our detective trio pays a visit to the elderly mayor, coercing him to spill the beans about the mystical werewolf village in the Forest of Fangs. Aya's promise to name the killer within 2 days seals the deal. It's like a supernatural detective pact with a ticking clock. Meanwhile, on the scene, Royce's agents Kylie and Alice make a stylish entrance via train. In the heart of Hullendorf drama, Aya drops the bombshell of the mayor. She suspects a werewolf's lurking in their peaceful village, despite the mayor's diligent investigations that cleared the locals, Hyman, Snut, and Alma. It's like a supernatural game of guess the furry culprit. The mayor, channeling his inner wolf expert, spills the werewolf tea. According to him, these furry fiends are only vulnerable in their human forms. But wait, there's more. He suggests there might be an ultimate werewolf, the Rolls-Royce of furballs, created through some fancy selective breeding. Good luck finding that needle in the haystack of fur and fangs. Cue Aya's detective antics as she grills Snut, the village engineer. Turns out, 13 years back, they took in a pregnant woman named Rosa, who later birthed Judd. Tragically, they were accused of being werewolves and met a grisly end. Werewolf parenting. It's a tough gig. Aya, smelling a furry rat, interviews Alma, the artist with secrets. But just when the truth's about to surface, enter Royce's dynamic duo, Alice Rapidshot and Kyle Chaintail. Talk about a supernatural cat and mouse chase. Come nighttime, the villagers, armed with pitchforks and silverware, surround Alma's house, convinced she's the furry menace. Alma, in a howling proclamation, claims she chowed down on Louise. Transformation time, she morphs into a golden werewolf, immune to silver bullets and ready for a moonlit jog. Aya's silver tongue and Shizuku's silver bullets prove futile as Rapidshot and Chaintail fire away. The golden werewolf bolts into the forest, Suguru hot on her furry tail, carrying Aya for the wildest piggyback ride of her life. It's a showdown of fur and fangs, and in a waterfall tango, Shizuku saves Aya from a watery plunge but takes the fall herself. As the moonlit drama unfolds, Aya, the detective extraordinaire, unveils Alma's furry secret. The mayor, probably exhausted from supernatural secrets, spills the beans on using the diamond to find the elusive Forest of Fangs. They decide to hit the road before sunrise, joined by the Royce agents, because nothing says a road trip like a pair of agents with a flair for the dramatic. Meanwhile, in Wolfendal, the werewolf village with a snazzy name, Shizuku wakes up surrounded by werewolf warmth. Nora spills the canine tea. Young werewolf girls are getting buckshot-faced on rainy days, and the murderer remains elusive due to the sneaky rain erasing all tracks. It's like a werewolf whodunit with a splash of furry intrigue. The werewolf girls attempt to sneak Shizuku out, but the village chief, an elderly furball of justice, puts her on trial faster than you can say full moon. Despite protests from Shizuku and her wolfy pals, the chief's not buying it. The trial takes a chaotic turn when a gunshot echoes from the forest. The werewolf squad rushes to the scene to find Nora, shot and no longer howling at the moon. Shizuku, the only detective in a furry predicament, gathers clues, suggesting Nora was shot elsewhere and brought to the current spot. It's like a werewolf CSI with a sprinkle of supernatural mystery. But alas, Shizuku's deductions only seem to tick off the furry jury even more. Meanwhile, in a cliff-hanging journey, the cage user and Royce's duo navigate their way toward the village, blissfully unaware that Moriarty's monstrous buddy, Victor, has decided to crash the supernatural party. Victor scoops up Aya and Suguru from the cliffside, claiming to be their supernatural savior from the Royce agents. With gratitude as currency, Victor strikes a deal, spill the werewolf village beans, and hand over the black diamond as collateral. Aya, always the diplomatic detective, agrees, throwing in a side note that Victor's associate, Carmilla, has a daylight allergy. Talk about vampire problems in the supernatural job market. Arriving at Wolfendal, Vera, the werewolf tour guide, leads Aya and Suguru to the imprisoned Shizuku, who spills the furry detective tea. Plot twist, they can't free her yet, or the furry alarm will go off like a wolf howling at a full moon. Instead, Ida utilizes Suguru as her detective hound to sniff out more clues around Nora's crime scene. They discover a hidden switch, revealing a secret underground passage, because every bit mystery needs a hidden door, right? In the underground werewolf man cave, they stumble upon a shotgun and evidence suggesting the other girls met their untimely end there. Aya, with her detective instincts on high alert, also finds Alma's corpse, noting she didn't kick the bucket in the passage. Because when life gives you secret passages, you better find a corpse or two. Back on the surface near Hulendorf, Aya encounters Louise's remorseful parents, confessing they ditched their daughter due to her disability. Louise, the ultimate plot twist, was saved by Judd, only to be betrayed later for a questionable village initiation. It's like a supernatural soap opera, as the wolf howls. Back in Wolfenal, the trio liberates Shizuku, but their exit is less sneaky and more three werewolves on your tail kind of vibe. Meanwhile, the Royce agents, leading the human posse, launch an attack on Wolfenal, with the mysterious banquet joining the fur-filled showdown. It's like a furry battlefield buffet. As the werewolves and humans duke it out, Aya sends Shizuku on a rescue mission, while she convinces Vera to dig up some dirt, literally, in a nearby graveyard. Suguru knocks out Kyle to save Victor, scoring himself the diamond and a London location treasure map, courtesy of Grateful Victor. Aya's body's on the line, and Victor's the GPS. Talk about supernatural rewards for monster heroics. Alice, armed with her trick-shooting antics, faces off against the Leicester, only to fall victim to a slow-acting poison. Note to self, when dealing with supernatural foes, bring more than just silver bullets. Shizuku, in a rematch with Carmilla, stages a supernatural showdown. However, their epic clash ends in a draw, because when Oni and Vampire collide, it's a battle for the ages. The Cage user crew, gathering at the town square like supernatural superheroes on a break, drops the ultimate bombshell. The killer responsible for the Grove Parade of Doom is none other than Nora, a shape-shifting, name-switching girl of many faces. Jut, Louise, Nora. Pick a name, any name. It's a werewolf identity crisis. Nora's diabolical plan? Kidnap Louise, play the human masquerade, and set up a furry human versus werewolf murder mystery circus. It's like a twisted game of Clue in the supernatural realm. Admitting to her guilt, including the deaths of Alma and the real Louise, Nora spills the furry beans. As she attempts a getaway, Suguru, the supernatural lasso master, manages to tie her up. But wait, Aya, the compassionate detective, lets Nora off the hook, believing her intentions were strangely noble. Nora, with newfound wanderlust, decides to globetrot, leaving the Cage user gang with more questions than answers. With Nora on her solo world tour, the Cage user crew, with Aya leading the charge, gears up to return to the city of Fog, Thee, and Detective Capers, London. Because when you're a detective crew, the job never ends, and Moriarty's base awaits their investigative prowess. That was it from today. However, get ready for more supernatural mysteries, shape-shifting twists, and a London return trip in this detective saga. Stay tuned for the next Moonrise, where every shadow hides a secret.